Hello and welcome back to What I Think I Know with your host, Dan Brigantino. Last week I started the episode by saying, well, not a whole lot has happened over the last week. This week, even before I posted that last episode, a lot has happened. Let's dig into it. Top of the docket, we have two massive events that have happened. Brown University, where they say 8 to 12 people were injured and 2 have passed. Um, Horrible. Absolutely despicable. And somehow they didn't catch the perpetrators. They just got away. From what I've heard, there's 2 potential shooters on a college campus, which must have hundreds of cameras, ridiculous numbers, I'm quite sure. And they also recently passed a no weapons on the campus rule. Didn't stop the shooters from bringing weapons, but it did stop the good people on the campus from bringing weapons, which is why our shooters are still at large and not dead. Stuff happens when you make stupid laws. The other one, Bondi Beach in Australia. I'm sure everybody's heard about both of these already. 40 to 42 people have been injured over there, and 15 are passed, unfortunately. Again, horrible situation. Now, some people would say, well, let's get rid of guns. Right? That's a logical solution. People hurt people with guns, so let's get rid of them. Unfortunately, like I said, Brown University has already done that. And wouldn't you know it, so has Australia. Now, I had a conversation with a fella over the interwebs, and he ended up making a video about me and bashing me and using his stupid voice going, which I will play in a short moment. But it all started off with another video that he posted, and started the video with, "It's the guns, it's the guns, it's the guns." You know how much I hate when people repeat themselves like that. And this was the morning of the 14th, I believe. And I simply said, bad timing, bro. Australia already did give up their guns. You should put in a Google search as to what just happened over there. Only law-abiding people follow gun laws. Criminals tend to ignore laws. He replied to me with, why don't you compare the amount of gun shootings in Australia versus the amount of gun shootings in the US over the past 20 to 25 years, and then get back to me, bro? He spelt bro all capitalized, don't know why. The point is, he wants me to compare the amount of gun shootings versus what? Like slingshot shootings or bow and arrow shootings? Obviously, we're talking gun shootings. I think that's an excessive word there. You don't need that. Could just say the amount of shootings. But he wants me to compare America's number of shootings versus Australia's. Challenge accepted. And so after he replied to me with that, he posted this video. I'll show you a clip of it here.
I'm going to show you some of the most idiotic, uneducated comments I got on my video this morning that was about the mass shooting that happened at Brown University last night. Then I'm going to hit you with some stats about Australia versus United States and mass shootings. Bad timing, bro. Australia already did give up their guns. You should put in a Google search as to what just happened over there. Only law-abiding people follow gun laws. Criminals tend to ignore them. Yes, this is true. All right, you fucking morons. Here's the stats. How many mass shootings have occurred in the United States in 2025 alone? 391 in 2025 and counting. Verse 20 in Australia over the last 25 years.
So, of course, I've cut and sliced it up a little bit. It's like a 3.5-minute video. I'm not going to put you through that torture. But he bashes me for saying, look, Australia's already got all the gun laws you need. And yet shootings can still happen there. Now, he's concerned about the number of shootings in Australia versus here. So I did some math, and this is how I responded to his next video, the one I just showed you. Remember, he said, 340 or something shootings every year. But we've actually talked about this in prior episodes. There haven't been that many. They calculate mass shootings as anything with more than 4 victims, which doesn't really work out when you remember the fact that our country's covered in gangs. So unless you're a racist and you want to say, well, all of America's shootings are down to brown and black people, then I think you should hold your tongue there, Nick. So here's what I said. Your stats are slightly inaccurate regarding the, whatever it was, 340 mass shootings so far in 2025. That number includes any violent act with a gun where more than 4 people are injured. That includes all gang crime, drive-bys and robberies, etc. In a country with around 500 million guns, your inflated number is still impressively low. 500 million guns. And we only have less than 400 shootings? Yeah, that's actually not too bad. Yes, we have more shootings in America. We also have vastly more people, 300 plus million people versus Australia's 27 million. Let's do some math. Officially, Australia has had 20 mass shootings over the last 20 years. Notice I went with his 20 to 25 year mark. That's about 1 per year. Multiply that by our population difference, which is about an average of 12.36. That means basically anything you want to talk about in Australia, you have to multiply by 12.36 in order for it to match population-wise, because they are 27 million. They're a little itty-bitty country. They're so cute. They're little cute guys. Ours is a little bit bigger than that. So, 20 shootings, 20 shootings in 20 years. That means 12.36 is how many they have a year if they were our size. So 2 countries, same size, same rules, laws, regulations, same people, not same people country to country, but same people that we have now, same people that they have now, but the populations just grow over there. That is 12.36 mass shootings every year. Now, if you use the FBI's numbers for the actual type of mass shooting we're talking about, i.e. not gang crime, the school shooting type of thing, Pulse nightclub kind of thing. We see about, I did add an extra word there. That's a bummer. So if you use the FBI's numbers for the actual type of mass shooting we're all talking about, i.e. not gang crime, we see America has about 30 per year. And that's where the extra about is. I said, we see about America has about 30 a year. That's not correct. Anyway, forget that first about. America has about 30 a year. Now, this is an average over the last, I think it was 20 years, where some years we have 40, some years we've had 10. I think 46 is the most we've had in 1 year. But anyway, I went on the conservative side and said, let's go toward the higher number. Let's give you the benefit of the doubt. And now, admittedly, 30 is higher than 12, right? I think we could all agree on that. That is still more. However, we have 500 plus million guns. Australia only has around 5 million guns. For consistency with the whole 12.36, that's about 62 million guns if we were to have equal population size. That's 12.4, percent of the number of guns we have, yet they still have some 42% as many mass shootings as we do. Again, adjusted for inflation. In conclusion, I'd like to ask just exactly what law do you think would stop gun crime? That's always my question. Anytime mass shooting happens, first off, it always happens in a gun-free zone. That's basically a place where we put up a sign that says literally gun-free zone, but what it actually means is target area. It is saying, hey, all these people over here are entirely defenseless, so have at it, criminals. Um, so he responded to that with a short list of some laws that he would like to see come to play. And I will say, since he did not refute any of my information, it is a clear indication of his agreement with my numbers. Also, I would like to think of it as a silent apology for calling me unintelligent there. Now he says, let's start with getting a gun permit. It was way too easy for me to get a permit and buy a gun. Not one of my references got called. Maybe force new gun owners to take a class prior to being able to buy one. Maybe force existing gun owners to take a class every 5 to 10 years. Maybe actually do a background check on new owners and follow up background checks on existing owners every 5 to 10 years. I like this one from the UK. Rifle and shotgun owners, this is the one from the UK here. Rifle and shotgun owners must secure a license from the police, who inspect the storage facilities and interview character references. I don't know of any states. He said at the beginning, not one of my references got called. I don't know of a single state, and I didn't Google search this at all, but I don't know of a single state that has worse laws than California does. And we don't have. Now, I will say you do have to have references to get a concealed carry permit, but not to buy a gun. And truthfully, if you don't have any family or friends, then a law like that would require you to make family or friends in order to get a gun. I don't. I think everybody could see that's ridiculous. And even if you did have family and friends, somebody, you could cheat at a board game the day before and he's pissed off, and then the cops call him the next day and go, hey, how's the quality of this person? And you're pissed off and you go, he cheated at Monopoly. He doesn't need a gun. So references is not a good idea. Getting a gun permit. Yeah, we do have a gun permit when we buy firearms. It's a gun license. You do have to have one. You have to take certain tests, several of them, and you can't get a gun without it. I have my hunter's license, which kind of works in place of some of these tests, but everybody has to take the same 5-question test. Are you a violent criminal, a rapist, not a rapist exactly, but that's violent criminal, but a wife beater, a drug addict, whatever. But anyway, I would like to point out before we dive into my response to this, Australia has all these laws. Didn't help them, did they? Now, what I responded with was a fairly lengthy message, so sit down and get comfortable. Part 1, because Instagram has a limited number of characters you can put in a message. I don't know what state you're in, but in all 50, the purchasing process always starts with 5 questions. Have you done crime? Are you a felon? Do you use drugs? Mental health? And citizenship. You can lie, but if you do, that's immediately a felony. Then they definitely did a background check on you to confirm these questions. It only takes about 5 minutes. In California, we've got a 10-day waiting period for a cool-off time, which is bullshit, because if I have guns in my closet and I'm going to buy a new one, why do I need to wait 10 days? If I'm angry enough to shoot somebody, I'll just go grab the guns I have. That doesn't make any sense. So why do a 10-day waiting period? Except for maybe the very first gun you ever buy. But, and we'll get to that in a minute, innocent until proven guilty. You can lie, but that's an immediate felony. They do a background check on you. I don't care what you felt like they did or not. It only takes about 5 minutes, so it's very easy. You just type in your name and social security number and send it to the FBI. They come back and say, yep, all good, or nope, all bad. As per the follow-up, meaning the follow-up background checks, they do indeed do that. Not on a regular basis, but if you do a crime, they will just take your guns. Fortunately, in this country, we are innocent until proven guilty. That means everyone starts life with a clean slate and is assumed competent. Yes, there are tons of people who are not fit to own guns, but most of them indeed are indeed barred by things like non-voluntary mental health hospitalizations and any sort of assault. This is just an incomplete list of nationwide laws, but they are nationwide. I didn't put that in. There are more than I stated, of course. Between 70 and 90% of all gun crime in America is committed with an illegally owned firearm, stolen or purchased from somebody who stole it. Part 2. It's hard to find stats on the next point, or on this next point, but we do know that well over 60% of gun crime happens in cities with the strictest gun laws. So we can see the current crime is not committed by people who legally purchase their gun, and it's committed in places guns aren't allowed, i.e. gun-free zones. So our current laws, including the ones you propose, are not working. There are only two options. One, confiscate all 500 million guns, because even bolt actions and shotguns are used in mass shootings. Check Australia again. And an extra point to that, I didn't know at the time, but I do know now, they were legally purchased firearms. They went through every single one of those rules that Nick proposed. The shooters of this, or the perpetrators of this mass event here, went through all of that system, and they still got their guns and still carried out a mass shooting. 2. Massive mental health reform and keeping people in prison when they commit violent crime. Check the girl who got lit on fire on the train by the guy who had previously been released 72 times after violent crimes, and plenty of other examples, Irina and all them. When it comes to gun crime in general, it's predominantly perpetrated by 16 to 25-year-old gang members, and the rest is committed by people with mental health issues. Every single school shooting in the last 55 years has been committed by somebody using SSRIs. In conclusion, if we just look at statistics, we see gangs and mental health as around 99% of all gun crime. More punishment for criminals is incentive to other criminals to not do crime. Also, if a criminal thinks everyone around him could have a gun on them, they will be far less likely to act. Remember our just last week's discussion. Nick, please, if you made it this far, which I highly doubt you did, but if you made it this far, go back to my last episode and listen to the part about the bodybuilder versus the old lady as victims for crime. I'll say this one again because it's that important. 100% of school shootings in the last 55 years have been perpetrated by people taking SSRIs, i.e. people with the worst mental health. Nearly all of them have used stolen firearms. So mathematically, if we drastically reform our mental health system, possibly looking at how places like Nordic regions do it, and get people the help they need when they need it without stigma, especially without stigma, we can lower gun crime by 25 to 30%. If we pair that with being tough on crime and focusing on ridding our streets of the gangs I should have put a comma there, we can reduce gun crime a further 55 to 60%, leaving us nearly rid of it entirely. Obviously and unfortunately, we'll never get to zero. I think we talked about that last week too. Physics doesn't allow it. Engineering, you learn a little bit. You can't ever get to 100% efficiency. It just doesn't happen. And especially with humans, we're assholes. However, if we just decided to get rid of every single firearm, people will just start using knives, hammers, stones, cars, etc. Even possibly things like drugging people. We did just find China in control of one of our big water cleaning facilities. And with the push of a button from China, they could mix up our chemicals and poison a whole city. Final part. I understand the utopia you're hoping for. Fresh out of high school, I thought the same thing. Unfortunately, criminals always ignore the law, and the mentally unstable will continue to take out their anger on the innocent. Unless we do something about those two things, we can't fight human nature. Every attempt at a utopia ever has ended in death, typically starvation, and every single time they start by taking the guns away. They start from taking away the citizens' guns. You and I think more alike than you know. We both want the same ending, a peaceful, safe place to live. We just have different ways of getting there. Um, Obviously, one way is better than the other. It's very clear now. Over in the EU, we've seen knife attacks skyrocket. People driving over other people with a U-Haul. Even the Australia shooting here, which was perpetrated with bolt-action rifles and shotguns, which in America, you will never, ever take away our bolt-action rifles and our shotguns. I don't care how much you whine and cry, it's just not going to happen. We are not America without our rifles and shotguns. Should we be allowed to have AR-15s and weapons of war? Fucking absolutely. We should have machine guns as well. The Constitution says the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It does not say the right to keep and bear arms, unless they're dangerous and unusual, should be should not be infringed. It's written right there. To keep is to own. To bear is to carry. There you go. End of story. Get rid of all your permits. Everything. One of the coolest things that's recently come out, and we've actually talked about this on an episode weeks ago, was the FBI redid their numbers on self-defense events. 48% of all attempted violent crime has been thwarted by civilians with firearms. And my favorite part, if you exclude gun-free zones, it rises to 52%. Over 50% of all violent crime is prevented by civilians with guns. Get rid of our guns. The lawbreakers keep their guns, obviously, because when have they followed a law in the past? When they have a car full of drugs, they might obey the speed limit quite a bit, those sort of laws. But that's only to prevent them getting caught doing their crime. Once again, I want to reiterate, over 50% of violent crime in America is prevented by gun-owning civilians. Australia has all of the laws that you want over here, Nick, but still it didn't help them. Yes, they have about half as many mass shootings as we do per capita. But that ain't good enough to give up our guns. What that is stupidity, okay? If you think that would work, you're a fool. All right? Now, I'm not going to call you unintelligent or an idiot or anything like that, because I genuinely think that you have the best intentions in your heart. I truly do believe that. You want, like I said at the end of that, you want a safe place for you and your family. That's truly all it is. Now, my point is, out here where I live currently, I'm actually not that far from the police station. There was a incident that happened in my neighborhood a few weeks ago, and I did actually have to call the police. They were here about 10 minutes after I called. So, if I'm being held at gunpoint, now there's some really heavy triggers out there, and the weight of a trigger is how much force it takes to pull it, or, beep, boom, or boom, right? I've never seen somebody fiddle with a trigger of a firearm for more than maybe half a second. If cops can't be at my house that quickly, Or frankly, wherever I am, walking down the street, maybe I'm at the gas station. If cops can't be there that quickly, the time it takes from me to put my finger on the trigger and then to pull it, then I think I should have a firearm, and so should you. If you think everybody around you has a firearm, are you going to pull yours willy-nilly? No, because everybody's going to look at you and go, well, okay, I'll join that party. Simple as that. So if criminals think maybe if I do crime, I may be injured or perhaps even lose my life, they're not going to do crime, at least not nearly as readily. And the more we have videos spreading around the internet of, I just saw one recently, there was an old lady. Oh, this was all on the Zoom camera. I know it's an old lady because I read into the report. But an old lady hears somebody banging on her door and not like, hello, can you let me in, please? But, kicking it, trying to break it down. So she grabs her revolver and she sits kind of, here's the corner of the hallway right here. So she sits here, aiming at the front door, and when they eventually kick the front door in, she opens fire. As she should have. She's an elderly lady. Had they got into the house and put a hand on her, without her firearm in her hand, of course, she would be a victim of whatever they wanted to do. Just like our conversation last week. Are you going to fight a bodybuilder or an old lady if you're a criminal? Of course, you're going the old lady. So, old lady opens fire, and here's the point. Here's what I liked. The kid who ran away from the door was screaming bloody murder. Oh, it was horrifying. I do not suggest you look into videos like that, but if you're a criminal, please go find out what's about to happen to you. It's a sad thing when anybody dies, but when you break into somebody's house, that is you essentially signing a note that says, please, I want somebody to shoot me. And that's what we want more criminals to realize. The more criminals who get killed or injured severely or hung in the streets by, hung in the streets would be a court-ordered act, of course, but shot on someone's doorstep kind of thing, the more that happens, the less crime we will see. It is inevitable. When you're driving down the street, and you haven't seen a cop in weeks, are you more likely to go, I'll speed just a little bit, put the pedal down? But, okay, now you're coming up, oh, there's a cop on the side of the road. What do? You slow down and you obey the fucking law. If you saw a cop on every street corner, you'd never break a law because you know that you'd immediately get caught. So if there is a gun hiding behind every doorway, who's going to want to go break into anything? No, because now you've got to stake out the house and make sure they've got a pride flag hanging outside so they don't have guns kind of thing. You've got to do your studies now. You've got to work at it. So truly, to conclude all of this mess, more anti-gun laws will only hurt the innocent. Less anti-gun laws will only hurt the criminals. Simple as that. Please, Nick, if you're listening still right now, honestly, God bless you, dude. You are the man. I truly appreciate your dedication to your viewpoint. It is crucially important, and I've said this before on many other episodes, crucially important that you view the other side. This is actually why I follow you on Instagram. I want to see what the other side is getting at. I want to know what you guys are thinking. Because if my side does something really bad, my side is probably going to try to hide that. And I cannot trust that. So I have to do all the research. So this is why I like to watch Fox News. I like to watch CNN. I like to watch people like you, Nick. I like to watch people like whatever conservative people are out there, I like to watch everything. And then you take the events, not the person's opinion on the event, but you take the event itself and research about that and come to your own conclusion. It's a beautiful thing. So again, Nick, I want to thank you. If you are still watching, boy, you're going to be the hero of the week next week. Um, I really hope I'm going to send this to you, of course. Like you sent me the one that you were bashing me and calling me unintelligent. Um, and I really truly hope to have more discord between the two of us. I would love more communication. I think it's a great thing. Like I said, we're both after the same end result. We both want the same thing: safe streets, a safe America, prosperous country. We want to make money. I'd love to. I don't know, have a boat someday or something. I'm not really much of a boat guy, but I guess I'm a fisherman. I do like fishing, but I'm more of a shore. Anywho, it doesn't fucking matter. Um, One other thing I want to get to before I kind of move away from that is, and I put these clips. Well, I'll just put it up back right now. You'll notice that bottom one says, "Look at my replies to Nick for the other crime. Also, I was correct. You should read my first comment again." That was posted by a guy who apparently deleted his message to me, or his comment, which is unfortunate. When you are bested, you simply say, "Oh, you're right. I get you." And then you change your opinion. Remember what we always say about intelligence. Intelligence is the measure of how readily able you are to change your opinion when confronted with new information. That is, per se, I am positive that stop signs are green. I know that up here. But then one day I take a colorblind test and realize I'm colorblind. And people have been telling me stop signs are red all my life. Everybody says that. And I'm colorblind? Well, shoot, stop signs must be red. My bad. I apologize. That's intelligence right there. It's the ability to change your mind when you find new information. Um, Instead, that fella just hid his lack of intelligence, I suppose. Again, I was just called stupid and unintelligent, so I don't want to bash anybody else's intelligence. I just want to let them know how to become intelligent, or something along those lines. That's not quite right, but anywho, moving on. Um, I want to talk about Donald Trump. Nick, I encourage you to stick around. I'm about to bash Donald Trump. Um, MAGA is not a Donald Trump cult. That's not what we are. We are a conservative America First group. Certainly not a cult. Our beliefs on the religion side are in Jesus, whereas the beliefs on the left liberal side are in Satanism and like voodoo or whatever. What's the tarot cards, witchcraft, and all that sort of stuff. That's your side's religion, and ours is Jesus. Now, what I want to talk about is Rob Reiner. I frankly have adored quite a few of his movies, or at least one or two. So he was a great director. I don't know if he was ever like an actor or whatever. I don't know. But he did some pretty fantastic movies, shows, kind of thing. Spinal Tap. If you haven't seen it, you need to watch it. Nick, if you're still watching, again, if you haven't seen Spinal Tap, that'd be crazy. I would have to assume you're a musician, you're a singer at least. If you haven't seen it though, dude, you gotta watch it. It's so good. And then like When Harry Met Sally and things like that. He's an iconic director. And it is sad that he passed, and he was murdered by his own son. The exact reasoning behind the murder, I do not claim to know. That may come out in the future. What I will say is that it wasn't directly Donald Trump's fault. I'm not going to bring up the tweet right now, or maybe I'll put it on the screen, but I'm not going to read through the whole thing. We've done enough reading. But it was a very insensitive tweet. As the MAGA crowd just went through a massive loss with Charlie Kirk, and we were very upset by the fact that the other side of the aisle just kind of laughed and made fun of us for it. after all that, why would you go out and say something disrespectful to somebody who passed? Um, Arguably, some people in this country love the guy, regardless of his political opinions. I will say this is a great reason if you are a celebrity of sorts, stay the fuck out of politics. Your brain is not a political brain. You do movies, which takes this much brain power probably. Um, I know this might sound like conceited or something, but I've sort of been a director all my life. Not of movies and films, but um, if I wanted to go that direction, yeah, I would have been top of the top. I know exactly how to make things look the emotions you want them to be, if that makes sense. And if it doesn't, it's because you're not a director. Um, so this whole situation is incredibly unfortunate. Um, Nobody deserves to die by some heinous act like this, and especially at the hands of your own child, is abhorrent and horrible in every single way. Donald Trump, a message directly to you. Fuck you for that. That was uncalled for, and I honestly would like to see an apology. Now, in comparison, it's absolutely nothing like what the left does. They are 1,000 times worse in every way. From all the, we need a white genocide, there's a whiteness pandemic, whatever. I only give jobs to black men, not white men. All this stuff, all the DEI, whatever. I actually saw a chart. If I could find it again, I'll post it right here. A chart of white male hirings versus DEI hirings. If you're looking at it, that's pretty freaking scary right there. They literally just quit one day and said, no more, no more. Let the boomers retire and no more. No millennials, nothing like that. Actually, I've got this. This is a beautiful, not beautiful, this is a disgusting clip from Chuck Schumer.
Of course, I'm going to say a few words about the terrible shooting in Sydney, Australia. Okay? So, and first, of course, as I always say, no matter what, go Bills. They beat the Patriots today. It's a big deal.
So, 40 to 42 people have been injured and 15 are pronounced dead, but go Bills! So, honestly, I think it's a wash. I think we just write off what Trump said, and even his interview that came out after, which arguably was worse than what he tweeted. I think it's a wash because of that. 15 people are dead. And you say, well, but first off, go Bills. That's ridiculous. You're stupid. I really, after shutting down the country, which fortunately at least proved that we don't need the government aside from welfare people, but also if we just switched over to places like Salvation Army for our more needy people, then again, we don't need the government. Anyway, I've got nothing really to say about that. That's absolutely ridiculous. So I think, yeah, like I said, it washes away what Trump did. I will say I fucking hate that Trump said that. I wish he would have said just about anything else. I think the beginning and the ending were great, but the middle portion where he just talks about, well, they had Trump derangement syndrome and all that, that's a no-go for me. I will say I am no fair weather friend. If you don't know what a fair weather friend is, it's somebody who would do something like, go Bills, right? Oh, the Patriots won. Oh, go Patriots, yeah. Oh, the Niners are doing pretty well. Go Niners! Fair weather friend, just somebody who's only there when the weather is fair, when it's nice and purty outside. So this in no way makes me think that Trump is, a bad president or something. I still firmly believe that he's the greatest president we've had since at least Teddy Roosevelt. And his numbers prove that fact. Almost 2 million deportations this year, which is not bad, not bad. I'd like to see that more like 20 million, but if we did that, then we'd be done already. So let's give him time. My personal belief in the whole give him time thing is after the midterms, which arguably aren't looking super good at the moment, but they could be turned around at some point. We kind of just need to get everything all together. I talked to somebody on the internet about bots the other day. There was some post. Let me see if I can find it. So, again, reading something on Instagram. Somebody posted a video of a lady on her own property who may have been angry at some brown people around her or something. I don't know. I have no idea what the video was about, but I saw in the comments. All right, so he said not all Trump supporters are racist, but all racists are Trump supporters. And I said, yeah, because we need a white genocide isn't racist. Obviously meaning the entirety of the left side of the aisle must be Trump supporters. And he did get back to me, actually, and let me try to find this. It looks like he's deleted all his responses. If you want to post on the internet, you better make sure it fucking is real. Instead of just posting stuff and then deleting it, I'm going to start having to take screenshots of every single comment that I receive or send or whatever, just because people keep deleting this stuff. Anyway, so he called me a victim. He said, "Oh, there's no such thing as a white genocide. Stop trying to be a victim." I said, "Ha ha 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 ha. Trying to be a victim? Not one single Republican is trying to be a victim. Obviously, there are some people like Marjorie Taylor Greene or something. I encourage you to do a quick Google search for compilation videos of people calling for white genocide, as well as saying things like, if a white man and a black man are equally qualified, I'll take the black man every time. Wanda Sykes, if you remember that episode. We're not trying to be victims. We're trying to show the hypocrisy of your side." And again, he responded with something about, maybe it was bots this time. No, I went to his page directly and sent him a friend request because I wanted to send him the videos of people saying all this stuff. And I told him, I actually put together a little video for you. It only took about 2 minutes. If you accept my follow request, I can DM it to you. I want you to know the truth. If you don't want to see my video, please just search white genocide on Insta tags and see it for yourself. Hundreds of videos of people calling for killing white folks. And I went, I can't remember what exactly the timeline was. Doesn't matter. But I went away from this comment video thing, went to the little search, the little magnifying glass icon. In the search bar, I put white genocide and then went to and clicked tags. And then all kinds of videos came up. Oh, here's one. He replied to that with, LMAO, you're talking like there's such thing as bots. Which, first off, no, I was talking like there's not such thing as bots. LMAO, again, we literally just found out a lot of bots accounts on Twitter are pushing white nationalism. We're from some countries like Nigeria, India, Indonesia, Russia, etc. If you genuinely believe there's a secret agenda for a white genocide in this country, I have a beachfront house in Arizona to sell you. Now that part's pretty funny. I like that. Unfortunately, the bots weren't pushing white nationalism. They were pushing a divide in the Republican Party. So you're wrong about that. And then we have my response to that is there are a lot of bots. Yeah, obviously, I agree with that, and I think it's a stupid fucking thing. Anything that says we're from America and isn't their account should just be deleted. There are a lot of bots, and that does suck. However, bots can't fake a video of a person talking. And no, it's not AI either. Please just search white genocide in your Insta tags search bar thing. I promise I'm not messing with you. I am no fool. I can certainly tell the difference between text and a video of a person talking. It'll take you less than 5 minutes, I promise. Now, I don't think he ever replied to that. At least if he did, he didn't tag me in his response. Which is truly unfortunate because I did put together a video for him. It literally only took 2 minutes.
White people are committed to being villains in the aggregate, right? We gotta take these motherfuckers out.
Was it or was it not the duty of every good revolutionary to kill all newborn white babies?
We have to kill white people.
When do we start killing white people?
I don't want to say we need to go start killing all white folks, but it's but maybe.
When we say we want to kill whitey, we don't really mean we want to kill whitey, we do.
We have to exterminate white people off of the face of the planet to solve this problem.
Fuck white people!
Now, if you think all of those videos were made of AI, well, sorry. I suggest you do a little more video watching. Perhaps go find, the old Jurassic Park movie and the new one and compare, the CGI there. The old one looked pretty darn good. The new one, it's all just like a really good-looking cartoon, basically. I can't remember the name of it. My teacher's a No, I Train My Dragon. How to Train Your Dragon. Never saw the movies, but I did see, plenty of commercials, clips, and whatnot. The first one was entirely animated. And then they just recently came out with a new one that was a live-action version of it, except, of course, the dragons are CGI, the sky was CGI, the environment they were in was CGI, and boy howdy, the people were CGI. So what? You put a green suit on with all the little balls stuck to it, and you danced around a stage, and then they covered you in a cartoon, and you call that live action? That's ridiculous. What about, Roger Rabbit? That's a live action cartoon, man. Actual cartoon things and an actual person there. American any movies, because any movies that matter are American. But boy, yeah, the movie industry is just headed straight down to the toilet. Anywho, I had a lot more, but I talked too much. This is a long video already. So I'm going to call it quits here and go straight to our hero of the week. Our hero this week is a good man called Andrew Cedra. I would like to invite his brother Martin over as well to come collect your ice-cold Coors Banquets. I've got an extra, don't worry. They're not the most expensive trophies, but they are the best trophies. Beautiful fellas. I've been following them for a long time, and I just happened upon this clip of Andrew and Charlie talking, obviously before Charlie's passing. And Andrew is talking about kind of one of his testimonials, one of the experiences he had with God, kind of indirectly. I guess truly it's a testimonial of somebody who was trying to kill him. And it is just a beautiful thing. He and his brother Martin are still working, still making videos and all that sort of stuff, detesting Islam and doing a lot of great things. They're wonderful human beings, and I hope they continue doing what they're doing. Here is a little clip that is absolutely beautiful. Enjoy.
God of Islam is a violent God. Andrew, you're from Egypt. You grew up around institutional Islam. You have said some things that some people in this audience would feel uncomfortable repeating. The God of Islam is a violent God.
I grew up in the Middle East where my dad is a pastor. He was really passionate about converting Muslims to Christians. He converted a particular person. He converted his wife. They decided that he was going to kill me and my brother, cut our heads off, and send it to my dad. As a punishment for him converting his wife to Christianity and baptizing her. He was part of the Muslim Brotherhood. That person got his friends from from radical Islam. He got them in the car. We used to go to school at 7 o'clock in the morning. They come in the morning. They're about to get out of the car. Me and my young brother are going down, and suddenly, as they're about to attack us, they froze. They couldn't move. They couldn't move at all until we went to the bus. The bus started moving. As we went to school, they started moving. The guy was very angry. He was very angry, like, you guys are cowards. You guys can't do this, people. So they came a week after. They come again. That particular day, they felt a power take their hands and put it behind their heads, and they couldn't move at all. We didn't know anything until a few weeks later. He came to my dad, told him, I tried to kill your kids, but your God protected them, and I believe in Jesus. He became a Christian. This is the reality. Islam is a very violent religion, theologically, practically, and historically.
Well, I'm glad we get to end on a bit of a happy note today. That was a gorgeous testimonial there. I love to hear it. Well, thank you all for watching. Nick, I hope you stayed to the end. If you did, God bless you, you beautiful son of a bitch. I want to converse with you more. I truly want you as a friend in my life. I know we disagree on some things, but it's a lot less than you think it is. I think we agree on more than you would imagine. And anyway, thank you all for watching. God bless you all. God bless this big old beautiful rock we live on. And we'll see you next week.